Hi there, it's Tamara Payne coming to you from Aloha Wellness in Lenexa, Kansas. It is my honor and my pleasure. I'm so blessed because I am going to introduce to you and also spend some time interviewing, if you will, an amazing light in this world, my very dear friend, my very dear coach, and to me, an angel. Let me introduce you to Michele Burch Reid.
Wow, an introduction like that. Wow. My day is done.
We have no more work to do.
Yeah, there's never, more work to do. Always more work to do, right? Yeah. I always say we're put on this earth to learn some type of a lesson. And when we're done learning, Holy Spirit calls us home. And I'm not ready to go home yet.
No, nor
I,
am I.
I sign up for more lessons, please.
That's right. I agree. I
I
concur.
agree to more lessons.
Please and thank you.
Yes, for sure.
Well, Michele, this is the first of my interview series, and the reason why I am asking you to be my premier, my first, el primero in Spanish, is because of this. You have been the model of unconditional love in my life. You were the first human being to just emulate that, to edify it, to strengthen that. And so I want to know from you, tell me how or who taught you unconditional love?
Wow, that is a really good question. I It's all I know. um, I would say, looking back, get all teary. I'm so blessed. I have these two amazing parents that, I'm sure I was less than perfect. We're all built imperfect, right? In perfect design to be imperfect. And they loved me so unconditionally. Um, and I think I learned to, it's interesting. I was born with a hearing deficit, and I use that loosely because I could hear. I was not born without hearing, but it was significantly impaired enough that it impaired my speech. And so they had taken me to a couple speech therapists, and then they said, "There's nothing wrong with her speech; it's her hearing." So it was a simple fix. They put tubes in my ears, and I can remember coming home and hearing my dog bark for the first time, and I was in second grade. And prior to that, he just sounded like he was far, far away, or like I was underwater, that kind of thing. But the interesting thing was that didn't happen up until like middle of second grade. And so it put me very far behind in school. And so I really felt like, I hate to use the word stupid, but that was the word that I used as a child. It's like, I'm kind of stupid. I can't keep up with the rest of the kids. I'm not as bright. Um, but then I look at my parents, and they never saw me that way. And, I was bright, and I was, and I was like, but if I'm not smart, what am I? And I thought, well, I'm joyful. I tend to enjoy everyone, and I see the best in them. And I can remember laying in my bed as a small child, like my brain going like this as I'm trying to fall asleep. And I just leaned into that. I thought, well, then I'll just be that, and I just leaned into that. I made a conscious decision to focus my attention on something that I liked about myself versus something that I didn't care for. And so I leaned into my joyfulness and my uh, what's a charisma. I grew my charisma, right? Um, so maybe that's where it came from. I think it came with, first of all, my parents modeled it to me with their unconditional love for me. Um, Oh, it makes me cry in a beautiful way. Verklempt. And then I learned that unconditional love for my own self. And I think that's, you hear this over and over and over again. And I think the reason we hear things over and over and over again is it's God's way of trying to give us the message through something we've done or through people that we're interacting with. And we'll hear this message over and over and over again until one day, and we've all had this experience with something, till one day you hear it. It may have been for the first time. It may have been for the 15th time. It may have been for the 1500th time. All of a sudden we hear it and we hear it. You know what I mean? And we go,
talk about literal and figuratively
yeah,
in your story, Michele,
yeah.
because you went on to become a singer.
And I hear, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, pun not intended, but thank you. Yeah. And I did. I became a vocalist. I mean, God gave me this gift. And so, and it's kind of funny because I'm known for being quite loud because I get very excited and, my voice carries and all these things. And I'm like, and I've questioned that sometimes before, like, not questioning it like whether it's right or wrong, but questioning it and in a curiosity kind of way. Like, I wonder if there's a link to that. I wonder where that came from. I mean, is there a purpose to that? Is there an origin to that? And I'm sure that some of it was because I couldn't hear well. So I, just talked louder, like we all do if we've got, a head cold or something like that. And so I've learned to project. So, I feel like there's always such a reason for things. And if there's not a reason, then we can create a reason, or Holy Spirit creates the reason. And it's like, oh, it shaped me. It shaped me who I am. It shaped me with unconditional love. It shaped me to learn to project my voice when it comes to singing. I don't sing so much anymore, but, I get up in front of crowds of, all kinds of numbers, from crowds of 10 to 150 or 300, and sometimes I have a mic and sometimes I don't, depending on, where I'm at and who I'm presenting to. So I've got to be able to project. So, yeah, it's interesting how things come around and how things unfold. And it's nice to have an opportunity. I appreciate you creating this opportunity so I can stop and look back and enjoy and have the hindsight, right? Hindsight's 2020, but sometimes we forget to look in the mirror.
Exactly.
In the rear view mirror. The reflection.
It's so important. And for those of you who have not met Michele's parents, we don't want to create a ton of crowd around them, but I have had the distinct honor and pleasure of knowing them and loving them, like I said, for a decade. And they are absolutely unconditional. And when I say unconditional, my word for it, or my brief definition, is I can't wait until I see you again. Complete unconditional love. Whenever that reuniting is, whether that's while we're in physical body or when we're one with Holy Spirit, it's just complete unconditional. But with you, Michele, I never have watched some of those negative emotions that I've watched with other coaches or other female friends, of jealousy, of any of those things. You taught me not only unconditional love of myself and those around me, and now my husband and our family, but also, if somebody has something you don't have, ask them and they will lead you. And so that is why I wanted to be able to spend time with you today. So,
oh, thank you. It's just so kind. Thank you.
oh, it's the truth. You're welcome. Okay, let's move on if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. My next question to you is, what is the name of your company? It's on our room, it's displayed, but tell me about it.
Okay. So it's Legacy Consulting Institute.
And can we reach you electronically online? Is there a website for your company?
Yes, absolutely. So I've got the website, legacyconsultinginstitute.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I have, so Twitter is at Michele with one L, because I always say there's no hell in this Michele, which is a little bit of a fib. I got a little bit of spice. And it's Michele with one L, LCI for Legacy Consulting Institute. That's the Twitter. The Facebook group is Legacy Consulting Institute. I also have created a series called Lead Yourself to Excellence. And so I have a private Facebook group for that. That everyone is welcome to. It's free, but I do have it private because we just want to make sure that everybody is the right fit before we join.
Exactly. And Lead Yourself to Excellence stands for life.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I was really struggling with my company, with Legacy Consulting Institute. I was taking my master's degree in industrial organizational psychology and all of my ridiculous list of certifications, because I'm a complete certification junkie.
Not ridiculous, just getting credentials.
It is fun, ridiculously fun, I guess.
No, I'm in the same boat. I love and respect you for it.
Thank you. But I find something and I just love it, and then I'm like, oh, I want to get certified in that because I want to make sure that I really truly understand it, so that I can squeeze all the juice from the grape, and that when I'm using it with my clients, and I'm really truly using it in the most optimal way. So anyways, I have a long list of certifications within personality type, emotional intelligence, leadership, biofeedback for stress management. That's where I started back in my 20s. I helped myself and gentleman Mark Hood and I created the first biofeedback program in the area.
Well, you're only 31, so that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I gotta admit that was right at 30 years ago. So I still use a lot of those tools with my company, but I just have kind of a toolbox. But so I would go into companies and I would do assessments on all of their employees, and then I would do workshops and some one-on-one coaching. And it never failed. When I would finish with the workshop, I'd have a minimum of one, sometimes 4 or 5 people that would come up and talk to me and say, I wish my spouse knew this. I wish my child knew this. I wish I knew this so many years ago. What a difference it would have made if I'd had these tools, if I'd understood why I make the decisions I make, or why my parents or my spouse or my boss makes the decisions that they made, and why it's correct, but maybe in conflict with how I make decisions, and all these things. And so eventually I thought, gosh, why not? So I created a 5-part series, and it's called Lead Your Child to Excellence. So with that, I have the opportunity to take all of those tools and strategies that I was using in the corporate world and with executives, and I created and now it's coming out as a book. I'm just finishing that up. So it'll be a self-guided coaching book, where as a parent, you get to coach your child with all the same tools that all the executives have access to, right?
Congratulations, because
thank you.
That was my next question. You really already answered it for me, because you have 5 children and 3 biologic, and I have also had the honor of meeting all of them, loving all of them. These are 5 amazing adults. These children are incredible. So that was my next question, which segues into your program. Tell me about how in the world did you raise these types of young adult leaders? Tell me.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny because it circles it all around. It's unconditional love. I can remember my kids were little, and my oldest is 27, and I can remember, it's just all 3 of them, just fantastic children. And I know I'm a mother and I'm biased, but they really are fantastic. And I can just remember feeling like it was such a responsibility as a parent. And, how do I make sure that I don't let him down? Like, I've got to train him. I've got to make sure that I give him all the tools. And I remember I would just really feel vulnerable about that. It felt like such a responsibility. And I remember stewing about that. And all of a sudden, in my head, I heard the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love. And so that became my tool. Every time I started to stress out, like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Did I make the right decision? Blah, 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 blah. I would stop and I would sing that song in my head. And that's what would redirect me. And I was like, really, all they need is love. And I always spoke to them, age appropriate, but we've always been very transparent about each other or with one another. And so it created a place, you got to be a safe place for people to express themselves while still keeping a boundary, So, and the funny thing is one time my two oldest were still in elementary school, and Margot, my youngest, I think was too young for the program. I think she was like 3 or 4, but a lot of bickering, like kids do, trying to figure things out and share space. And I was like, what can I do? I've got to create something. So I created this level system. The level system was so effective that we didn't have to use it anymore, because I found the kids starting to use my language that I had created in the level system. So one of them would turn to the other and they'd go, knock it off. Or, mom's going to put us back on base level, or, all these little tricks that I had. So in my Lead Your Child to Excellence program, that level system is in there. So it's one of the segments, one of the modules in that.
So we have a teaser about base level. I won't ask you to reveal any more course curriculum.
About the level system. But I think I got a little off track in the fact that I ran all these workshops in the corporation, and so many people had asked about, they wish that they could have it for, significant loved one. And that's when I thought, well, I'd created it for the children, and then, COVID hit, and I was like, I really want people that, it's great when your company is going to pay for go for the training and whatnot, but what I'd really like is to create something that everybody has access to it. So that's why I've created the Lead Yourself to Excellence program. So I have it's a whole series. I've got a book on 40-day practice to resilience. So learning all about the biofeedback and stress management, the autonomic nervous system and how our body reacts to stress, and how to create the relaxation response. And it's a 40-day journal. So they say it takes 40 days to create a habit. So I created a 40-day journal. So it's all educational in the front, and the back end is all journaling. And so that's coming out soon. It's actually in print. And I get to pick up the first copy this afternoon, actually, and give it its last edit. So I'm super excited about it. Then I have a whole self-guided book, a workbook on personality type. How we make decisions, where we get our energy, how we approach goals, what information do we take in, and I help you identify what that is for you. I also educate you on everyone else, because that's important. And then I have little exercises in it throughout, so that you can it's one thing to have the information, is the other thing to apply the information, and so I have it in a 4-week. So you kind of work on it day by day. So it's very approachable, it's doable. And then
size, if you will, bite size.
Yeah, bite size for sure, and an opportunity to, try it on and create new habits and behaviors and new ways of looking at the world. And then the next one is the Lead Yourself to Excellence program, where I do a little bit of personality type and I do emotional intelligence, and that's an 8-week program. So it's all coming.
Well, I think it's incredible. I'm just going to close with this, Michelle. I was able to retire 20 years ahead of schedule, really, because for 10 years you have been my success coach, my business coach. And I honor you for that because you have changed our entire world and our lives just by helping me with my past programming, with my personality type, which is ENFJ, and understanding that I was born with a planner in my head, in my hands, and in my heart. And
Yes.
not the rest of the world does not interact with the world like that. If you and I set something up, it's immediately on my calendar without a hesitation. And so you have taught me because I lacked patience for people who were not ENFJs. you know, so you have helped me more than even I can present in this interview. I honor you, and I just if you're hearing this, if you're part of our audience today, anytime in the near future, please do yourself a favor and do business with this amazing woman and her family through Legacy Coach Consulting Institute, through LCI. It, I'm glad and honored that I did, and I think that you will be blessed as well. So, what would you like to say finally?
Wow, I'm so honored. And you're pretty easy to coach, I have to say. I'm not sure I deserve all that because you're so
Oh,
and easy. I'm
that's
just here.
that's sweet because that's not what anybody else would say about me.
I beg to differ. Well, you're thirsty for the information. You're great at applying it. I mean, you are such a quick learner, and you have the heart for it. And that's, that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So,
Well, thank you so much for spending your valuable time. And thank you to our audience because time is one thing you cannot take back. So I hope you enjoyed our friendly, authentic, beautiful, professional conversation. And we hope to do business with you and love you and be of service to you soon.
thank you
So thank
so
you
much.
so much, Michelle.
Thank you, Tamara. I so appreciate this opportunity.